I'm Nick.
I'm Beck.
And we're Heavy Board Gaming back with another review. This review is of the game Wishland. This is the third edition of Wishland. It is published by Lost Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game, and it's designed by Carlos Michian. So Vic is going to go over an overview of how you play, and then we'll come back with our thoughts on the game.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Wishland, the third edition. This is a teach that's actually going to involve the Dreams from America expansion. So that includes those cards at the top that we are featuring here. And I'm going to go through just a brief overview of how you play Wishland. So this is a theme park themed game. In this game, there are cards that you're going to be adding to your theme park. You can select what they call Dreams cards, which is part of the expansion. Those are a variety of functions. It's kind of like a multi-use card because the other ones, like the yellow ones, are rides. So thematically, they're going to attract visitors and expand your park. They allow you to have more additional cards because you are limited to one set of each color for every purple gate card, which are over here. Everyone starts with a gate, and as long as you have more than one purple or yellow card, you're going to be able to collect more blue, red, green, and black cards because you only have a set of 5 for your first gate. Next, we have the blue cards. Those are entertainers. They thematically add excitement and fun, happiness, as they call it here, the happiness, to your park. They also bring in visitors as well. And then red cards, those are thematically restaurants. So, of course, that is also going to bring you revenue and income. So a lot of these cards, are going to provide you with some kind of income during the income phase. And I'll go through all the phases in just a moment. There are green cards as well. These green cards are hotel properties. So they can usually give you some kind of scoring at the end of the game, but they can also trigger immediate benefits as well. So they're another variety of cards where you're going to get a result. Finally, we have the black cards here at the bottom. These are mascots. So you can never have more than one of the same one. So if I already added this guy to my park, I couldn't add another one of the same card. But when you add them, they're basically a multiplier for the symbol that you see showing. So if you had a lot of cards that had this, I'm going to call it a dinner bell. I'm not quite sure. If you had a lot of cards with that, you probably would want to get this mascot added because they're going to be able to give you scoring at the end of the game that multiplies. And there are other cards, other mascots that do have that as well, but I'll let you explore that for yourself when you play. So that's an overview of the cards you see. Over on the right side, at the very top, there's an explanation of the dream cards and how they score. So at the end of the game, the player who has the most of those dream cards is going to actually score, depending on the player count. You'll score a certain number of points. Additionally, this right down here is tracking your rounds played because we're actually doing 7 rounds with 4 turns per round. So every time the final player goes, you'll move the roller coaster token to the next next turn, all the way to 4. And then once you've reached the 4 turns in that round, you can then move the round tracker and play up to 7 rounds in the game. Next, below it, is the turn order track. I'm going to explain that in just a moment. It is the first step in a round, is to select your turn order. Right below that is the achievements. So these are objectives. They're randomly added out of a big pile of them. You're going to add in those, and they are achieved. And once achieved, you place these orange tokens on it, and that means that it can no longer be claimed. They tend to only give 1 point, so I haven't seen any that give any more than that, but that is the reasoning behind it. It's sort of a race to achieve those achievements as well. Below that is the happiness track. So once you get past a certain point, you're going to actually get a VP on income, a victory point on income. As you cross or reach different levels of happiness, you'll get a point as well, as you can see as shown on the board. And finally, if you do reach the end, anywhere you do see those little white flags, it represents end game scoring. So on the happiness track, when you get to the end, for every set of 5 colors in your theme park, you're going to get a VP. Next, below that, I believe that's the visitors track. So the visitors track is going to give you coins. So as you move your little briefcase across, you'll be getting coins as soon as you reach those markers, and you'll be getting an income just like happiness at the 6th spot. And finally, at the end, you'll get an end game scoring boon for every 5 income that you have on your card. So if you've collected a lot of restaurants or dream cards that give you income, every 5 that you're making is going to give you a VP. And that does also include your starting income, which I will explain in just a moment. Below that is your victory point track. So your little ribbon is going to move along that as you score points. Below, we have a spot that everybody can go to, and I'll explain how these workers ultimately get placed out on the board. But over here is a spot that you can go to at any time with your workers, and it allows you to get a coin and then your choice of happiness, a visitor, or an additional worker. Because you'll see in this spot, we have additional workers available for you to add to your area so that you have those workers available to you. Right below that is a reminder that you can spend 3 workers at any time to give yourself a coin discount on something you're buying, but I'll explain that in just a second. Finally, at the bottom here, bottom right, we've got the entertainment scoring. So this is going to be a collection of the different blue ticket symbols, and these symbols you see here on the bottom left of a card, or I'm sorry, the bottom right of the card, these little black symbols. So it's a unique count multiplier. So if you have, let's say, 6 of them, you'll get 9 points at the end, and so on and so forth. There is a range, so you can always reference that as you're collecting the different entertainment symbols in your park. All right, so in your game, to start the game, you're going to determine a first player. They'll get the first player token, and then everybody will get a choice of 2 entrepreneur cards that they can choose from. In this example, I have this one. This gives me an immediate 2 coins, and it's going to give me, it shows by that white flag, end game scoring for all the sets I have of those cards. It's going to get me 2 VP. So it's a little bit better than having to reach the end of that happiness track. And everyone's going to have a unique ability. They might have an ongoing ability. They might have an instant boon like this, an end game scoring. There's really a variety of entrepreneurs available. Next, after determining the first player, you will then choose your turn order, and that is making use of your little top hat tokens. So each player, starting with the first player, will choose where they want to, what order they want to be in. And there are different boons available depending on how late you decide to go in a round turn. So if you choose the first spot, you don't get any reward. If you choose the second spot here, it shows a coin. Third spot, you're going to get a purple card, a gate card. 4, you're going to get your choice of happiness, visitor, or an extra worker. The 5th spot gives you a VP, and the 6th spot gives you 2 coins. So obviously, if you're playing, I think there is with the 2 player, you're limited and you can't choose a certain one, but it escapes me immediately right now. Anyways, so if I were to, for example, go here, I would choose that with my green token, and then the red player would go, and they might want this. It's very popular, this 4th spot. So that means the green player is going to go first, and then the red player will be able to go afterwards. Next, after choosing your turn order, there is an income phase. So right off the bat, everyone gets $5, and that's how you start the game. You start the game with an income phase. At the end of every round, there is an income phase following the turn order selection. You will then get all the income shown on your cards and always that $5. So we're going to start with that. These nice metal coins. I have $5, and so does my opponent. And then we're going to take our turn. So what does a turn look like? A turn involves taking your worker meeples and placing them out on these spots wherever you see a little t-shirt. That means you can put a worker down. So if I wanted to, let's say, add the restaurant here, I would put one of my green player tokens out there, and I would pick this up and I would look at the top left and pay that cost. So I would trade in my $5, get my $2 back in change, and I would have bought this card. And I would pay attention, like I said, to how many of those red cards I can have. I now need to have another yellow or another purple card before I could buy another red card. This is immediately going to replenish. And then if the my opponent, the second player, wanted to go and buy one of these red cards as well, maybe they like the idea of this free one that's $0, they would actually have to stack 2 of their meeples on top of each other. So they always have to provide more than whatever's showing there. So they would maybe do that. It wouldn't be the best turn, but just for the sake of example, I'll show you. They would then pick this up. They wouldn't pay anything, but they would add it to their park. It's going to give them this entertainment symbol here, and then the $1 income every turn. So next round they'll be able to take that. So we'll do that, for example. And another thing that you can do in your turns is you can collect your workers. So in this game, what's unique is you're actually not getting your workers back automatically at the end of the round. It is actually one of your actions to take them back. So if I had put out my meeples here, and this is the way it happened, let's say, with all the meeples you start with, 4 each, I could then, as the green player, if I still had money to spend, decide to take all of these workers back as my action. So those are the 2 actions you're doing in your turns. You're either placing workers or you're collecting them. Finally, when we reach the end of the round, we're going to be progressing. This would have been all the way at the end here. We would progress the round tracker, and we would start all over again with choosing the turn order, starting with the first player, which would be the green player, making that selection. So these would come off the board, and then the green player could decide, hey, I'd rather get the spot over here, the 4th spot that gives me my choice, and move up one of these tracks or get an extra worker. And then the red player might say, you know what, I didn't like being second. I'm going to go here and get $1, or maybe I need another purple card. So that's how that would look, and you're just going to repeat it all over again. And at the end of the game, there is endgame scoring. As I told you, it is symbolized by that white flag. There is a really great explanation in the game rulebook on how to finish the scoring in this game, because it is actually it's in sequence. You actually do have to follow a particular order because certain cards do score in a certain way, and it's consequential that way after 7 rounds are played. So you'll see you start with those entrepreneur card scorings, the hotel cards, the green ones. You then move to the mascots, which, as I told you, is a multiplication of your category symbols, which are these big symbols illustrated on the left. And then the entertainment symbols I mentioned, those little black symbols shown on the bottom right of the card, like that little balloon you see. And then you would go to your happiness track. As I said, if you reach the end, you're going to be able to score based on sets. The visitors track is going to score based on your income, and you'll determine the winner that way. If there is a tie, the player that's on the rightmost space of the turn order track actually wins. So if you're getting towards the end of the round and you think it's going to be tight, you might want to sacrifice maybe taking a turn later to break a tie. And that is how you play Wishland.
All right, and we're back. Thank you, my love, for teaching Wishland. So we're going to go over our thoughts on the game. This was a Kickstarter back, so we did have the expansion that we backed with that, which was Dreams from America. So a lot of, the first thing that stuck out, that was kind of strange, how many meeple colors there are.
Yeah.
It's a 1 to 4 player game, but you have like 8 or 10 different colored meeples, and there's different shades of blue, different shades of green.
Who does that?
That's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think another thing that stands out is how colorful it is, how many, even the cards, they're all different colored, and there's so many choices for those cards. I can't say I've seen a game quite like that. I think of Lorenzo Il Magnifico, but not even, this is more. There's just more choices of cards in these different colors. They do different things,
Yeah.
represent different things. Thoughts on the look of the game, Vic?
Yeah, so Nick did get the deluxe version of this in the fact that he's got we have the metal coins in it.
Metal trackers.
And yeah, the metal trackers, but the base game will give you those wooden meeples and a lot of the other pieces that you saw presented during the overview. So right away, the look of it was good. I love the colorfulness of it, the fun characters. I was remarking, I want to be the Shake, and I'm never yellow. And I really wanted to be the little soda guy as my players. And then I also really liked, the artwork that was on it, the linen sort of finish on these cards. These are not, basic cards, like really cheaply made. They feel good. I first wondered, why are they so small? Then I came to realize, thank goodness they are. Otherwise, it would be quite consuming of your table if they were regular-sized cards. I liked the variety in the objectives. So right off the bat, seeing the number of objective tiles that you got to choose from while we were setting up, I thought that was good. And I was impressed by how quickly I was able to actually teach the game to Nick. So I got the first look at the rule book on this one and was the one who taught it to Nick and I. So my first impression was quite favorable.
Nice. All right, let's go over.
What do you think?
We'll go over some positives then, and go and do that kind of order, I guess. Positives for this game: it is fairly easy to teach, not too complex. You have worker placement out here. There's not a ton of options. They're all pretty similar in that you're taking cards, but it gives a nice worker placement twist, which I always like. Really cool that you have to spend more of your workers if people are there. I love it. I love that, and I love how it changes. It's very dynamic in that when people recall, then it might not just go straight to one people. There might be other players there that have three, and it's like you still need four.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I think that's a super clever take on worker placement. You don't really see it very often. And I like the flow of the game. It reminds me of a game like Everdell. You just keep playing, yes, it does track your rounds, but you just keep playing. Everyone's at their own rhythm of their own pace of the game. People can recall while other people are doing actions, so not everyone is recalling at once like a lot of games.
Right.
I like that. That's another pro. A lot of tracks. The tracks, are just okay. I think the tracks are just okay, but I do like tracks in general. There's achievements, so there's enough going on despite how your actions are pretty simple.
Yeah, you have a choice of two things, really, that you're doing.
Yeah. So what are some of your pros here, Vic?
Yeah, so as I explained in the overview, the theme of this game is an amusement park. Now, we're not the biggest theme people. If you watch our channel, you know we don't get immersed in theme. But what I thought was great about this game is that each card color really does represent a unique part of your theme park. And they tried to really capture the theme of it. So the yellow cards, like I said, being rides, that thematically is going to make a bigger footprint for your park. It's going to draw people to come to the park. It may give you, some scoring for it because it's a cool thing to add. You want to add more rides, and that enables you to get more of the other colors beyond what the purple cards do. So you're not stuck just grabbing a gate every time you want to expand your park. So I thought that was neat. Then you got the blue cards, the entertainers. So there, you can kind of anticipate what those cards are going to give you. They're going to give you visitors. They may give you more workers. They may give you more happiness, so on and so forth. And then the red ones, income. You generally know that that's a restaurant's going to give money to the park. They're going to make money on those expensive hamburgers and things that they might sell at the park, and hotels kind of doing the same thing, but end game scoring in the green ones. Mascots were neat because you are then paying attention to the cards you buy and thinking, oh boy, I really can make a powerful multiplier at the end. I mean, it's never going to be crazy. A lot of the points you're seeing, like I explained in the overview, 1 point here, 1 point there. Nothing's going to be OP that suddenly you're going to have 10 points from one card you got. Probably not unless you buy a really expensive dream card or a yellow card that has a big point value, like this one that when we were playing. You can pay a lot of money for. I thought the income was easy to attain as well. I liked how right off the bat you're going to get 5, and then you can get free cards that give you income. So not every card you have to pay money for. I was grateful for that. So that's definitely a pro for me. Is the ease of playing the game without feeling like you were struggling through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second that. Just different wording, I guess, in that the viable options to win the game essentially is what Vic is saying. You can go with those green cards, hotel cards that give you a lot of endgame points. You can get the achievements. You can get the mascots, which will get your symbols and all the things that Vic covered. You can tell there's a lot of ways to win the game. It didn't feel like, you got to do this if you even want to win. No, I don't feel that. I feel like there's a ton of ways to get points. And I don't feel like one of them's super weak. I feel like you can accomplish a lot. I guess maybe if you were solely focusing on something, sure. Like if you were just really honed in on those achievements, it's going to give you 1 point. But it might help you in other facets. But if that was your sole focus, I just want to knock these out. That might not be the best way to play. It's only 1 point.
Yeah.
There are better ways to get points, but if it accomplishes something, your other things than just the achievements, then sure, go for that. So yeah, a lot of viability in ways to win, and I do like the expansion. It just adds more options. I have no problem, and it's kind of like a catch-all. The cards, they're like a little mix of everything, which I like. I have no problem with more cards, more options in this game. It's not. Well, you know what? Before I say anything else, let's go into any negatives, or unless you have more positives that you missed that you just thought of.
No, I like the set collection. I will say, finally, I do like the interest of trying to look on the right side. Once you master the iconography, which we can get into and maybe as a con a little bit, but it's not too much. We play tons of games with different iconography and learning that kind of stuff. There's a reference sheet. I should also note great references to what the cards do throughout. So you can always look up by the number. There's a number on every card, so you can find out what is that one trying to say. What does it mean? Yeah. So I give that a high point. Even the objectives,
the back of the objectives.
The objectives have meaning if you're not immediately understanding what they're trying to say by the symbol of the iconography. So I appreciate that in this game, and I like the nuance of trying to collect those entertainment symbols and then the category symbols and pairing them with the mascots.
Okay, so you want me to start with negatives?
Sure.
Okay, so I will say one big negative is the turn order track is pretty bad. It's every time we play with different people, they go for number 4, which is you either move up on one of the tracks or what's the other option?
Yeah, I even did during my example. Yeah,
it's like every single time, and we play with different groups. And we play with just 2 players, and everyone wants that spot. It's the best spot, and it's not even. It's situational that it might not be the best spot for you, but in general, that's the best spot. And it's weird because it's not the number 6 spot. So maybe the designers thought that the 2 coins was better than moving up the track. I don't see that myself. A lot of objectives about tracks. They give you income and get to certain points. It gives you different boons as you get thresholds. So there's a lot of reasons to go with those tracks.
Yeah, end game scoring too, as I noted in the overview.
Yeah.
If you get to the end, or else you don't score those things.
So that is a weakness to me, that track. I think it can be more robust than that. It can be better choices, more interesting choices. Some of them it's like 1 coin, 2 coins, 1 point. Like, oh, okay, and one card. So we tend to pick number 4 option where you have different tracks you can move up. All right. Another negative for me, it's not... despite it having a lot of choices of cards, really that's all you're doing is you're getting these cards. So that is the game. If that doesn't appeal to you, it is a fairly light game in that way. You put the worker out and you get the card. You pay the money, get the card. You pay the money, get the card. And then eventually recall. So, it's not, I'm not saying I don't like the game because of that. I'm just saying it is not my typical type of game. I prefer different things, chaining off different things, the tracks to be a little bit more meaningful than just going up on these tracks. The tracks just give you either points at certain thresholds or coins, depending which track it is. Mm-hmm. And it's a little boring. I mean, it could be a little better. That's about it for me.
Right, you're never creating an engine. When you're putting these cards out in your park, you're not creating something that every time I get a hamburger, you're right. Hey, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, because there are dream cards. There are cards that might give you ongoing, with the ongoing symbol, that every time you get an income card, you're going to get this or that. So I shouldn't really say that too much, but I do agree with Nick that it is samey. There is a lot of that. But I think there's enough variety from play to play in all the number of cards there are coming out, and the fact that you're competing with other people to get them, that you won't end up with the exact same theme park every time you play.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready for scores.
All right, my score for this one is an 8.5. I have a lot of fun with it. I like a nice, simple game than we play. It's not the most basic. It could definitely be a step up, I think, from a very basic worker placement game without getting too far ahead and getting way too complicated, like playing something like that Odin, Feast of Odin. Yeah, it's not like a Feast for Odin kind of worker placement. Yeah, this is something that you kind of ease people into the worker placement mechanism. So
kind of, yeah, I would say so. All right, my score, it will also be a positive score, 8-1 for me. So we got a couple in the 8 range. Very nice for this type of game. It's not our usual fare. You know, we do tend to prefer heavier games, but this one is really nice. And I give it credit for it's being a game that we don't have this worker placement mechanism necessarily, where you're stacking these workers and pulling them, and then it becomes harder and harder to get to. We have, like architects where you can add more workers to different spots, but it's not the same as this by any means. So it does feel a little different for worker placements, which is nice because it's a lighter game. Normally you get those different varieties in heavier games. Like we're gonna change the way worker placement works. Well, this feels like it did that.
Right. And I do hate to say this after we've given scores, but did the length of the game impact at all your score on this? Because we didn't really touch on how long it takes to play. We played with 2 and we played with 4.
Yeah. I didn't want to harp on it too much because we didn't get a good feel for it at 4. We played it a couple times, but it didn't feel terribly long. Yes, our game got split up one time where we left and came back and finished it. If I had to say 4 players was a little long, sure, it was a little long. But it wasn't something that's going to impact my decision to give it in the 8s. No, I think it was fine.
Yeah, that's why we didn't really talk too much about it either. I feel like after I reflected on that, I like the time. Let me build my theme park. Mm-hmm. This is my amusement thing.
Yeah. It's a game that you know when it ends. You have a certain amount of actions. You're going to have 4 times 7, so 28 actions in the game. So when it ends. It's going to end that every time. It's just a matter of how quick people play. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the thumbs up, and comment if you have a favorite theme park themed game. We have already gone over Fun Fair. I don't think we played the other one, the unfair one. We played Fun Fair. And we've
Grand Carnival.
Mm-hmm, Grand Carnival.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah. Three-Ring Circus.
Three-Ring Circus. I don't think we reviewed it, though. We don't think we reviewed it yet.
Well, in the future, you will be able to find that on our channel probably. But let us know in the comments, have you played this game? Have you played any of the other editions? And please do subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.